we're gonna look today really quickly at loading images and loading fonts just to get you ready for the first project. And I'm gonna try to make this as swift as possible because I'm gonna make a second tutorial that goes more in depth on like how you can use this knowledge to then create your infographic, image, or interface. So before we load our images, I just want to show you what I did. I took this image from this infographic artist. His name is David McCandless, and I found him last year, and I just really thought that his infographics were beautiful. Just to save me time, instead of like making an infographic from scratch, I'm just gonna like copy his, which is not something you should do for the project, but you could gain inspiration from somebody else by maybe like following along with their style. Here's the recreation over here to the right. So I did all of this in Illustrator, and this is what I was like grabbing the color palette and stuff from, and the image itself, just trying to copy it as best I could. So I've got like all my layers over here, and I want to be able to manipulate all the layers. So if you don't want to code everything from scratch, which is something that I also did to show you how to do it, you could create multiple layers in Illustrator. That way you can like work with them in P5. The thing is it's really hard to like resize images in P5, and it's hard to do. We're not going to do SVGs for right now because that's like slightly more advanced. Unless you know how to do it, feel free to use SVGs in P5. It's a little bit complicated, but use PNGs for right now. If I exported all the layers individually, and I have them here in a folder, a project folder titled layers. Back to P5, whenever I'm loading in my images, I'm just gonna upload file, and I want just like all my layers. So I'm just gonna like open them all up, see if they get uploaded, and it worked. So this is why I've made a folder, because I have a bunch of images. And now I'm a little bit more organized here, so that's good. I'll just go back to my sketch.js. And while we're here, just take a look. We do have index.html, which we can talk about later, but this is how we get our libraries, our P5 library, and we reference our sketch. And we've got our style.css. So you don't really have to do much in these for right now, but you could if you wanted to, and if you know HTML. So let's load our background image. So first we want to create a variable called let_img. You don't want to use the whole word image because that's a function of P5, and so when you're making variable names, you just don't want to like conflict with already made functions. So img works, or you could do, since you've got a bunch of images, maybe this one will be background, or you can't use background because that's a function of P5. So we'll do b image, that's what we'll call it. And write a little note with 2 front slashes, background image. In order to upload images and fonts, you need to create the function preload. That's all one word. And you can find all of this in the references if you don't remember. In the function preload, you'll do b image equals load image, and then you do the path and the file name. So you can use the tick marks, or you can use the quotation marks. I like to use the tick marks because it's just faster. And then you do the, since we've made a folder, you'll put the folder name, and you have to capitalize it the same way that you wrote it. So capital I, images, front slash, and then you do the file name. So you have to do it exactly the same way you wrote it here. Oop. So I'm just gonna make sure this is my background image. So you see I've capitalized the B. What I like to do is just like copy from here, just in case I'm not paying attention. I want to get it perfect, so here. So I've created the variable name, I've loaded the image. I'm gonna press play. So something that I've noticed is whenever I make folders, sometimes I'll get an error saying failed to fetch. And I don't know why it does this, and the only way that I've found to fix it is to just like re-upload, like delete all the images and re-upload them again. And even if I have to re-upload them for a third time, it eventually works. So let's just go through that process. And let's just double check. Yeah, so not getting any errors down here, so that's good. So just keep that in mind, because that's really annoying if you don't expect it and you're like, why isn't this working? It should totally be working. Just do that. So cool. Now, in order to see our image over here, we have to do create canvas. Create canvas should already be there for y'all. I deleted it, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Do image function, open close parentheses. And within that, you just call the file name. So b image is our background image. And then say like where you want to draw it. So the image is going to be drawn from like the upper left corner. So it'll show up here. It's easier for me to just show you. If you put 0, 0, it'll draw from 0, 0. This is 0, 0, and it increases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 400, which is the canvas size. And then from 0, 0, it increases downward on the y-axis. So if you draw 0, 0, the image is going to start here and sort of like be drawn across the canvas. And you'll see that when we press play. Notice that we can't see a gradient here. And that's because the image is bigger than 400 by 400 pixels. So what we want to do is just resize the image to fit the canvas. And the way that we do that is really easy. B image, so file name, dot resize. The parameter or the arguments that you need to make are X and Y, or these are the parameters. And so our arguments are going to be, let's say, if we want it to be the same size of the canvas right now, we can do 400, 400. So that'll resize our image to fit the canvas. So now we can see the gradient. Currently, everything is hard-coded. So you're going to be stuck with a 400 by 400 image. That's pretty small. So if you want it to be scalable, you would go create canvas. I want canvas to snap to whatever screen you're being played on. So let's go window width and window height. Our canvas, which you can't see because we don't have a background color, but if we put 255, you make the function background in the draw loop, make it white, you can see what the canvas looks like. Ta-da! So now, see, it snaps to the window size, but our background is now still 400 and 400. So let's change that to width and height. You do not have to do window width or window height. You only have to do that once. Everything underneath it, if you do width and height, knows now that it's window width, window height. So the background will change to whatever the screen size is. So if I save that, make sure you save it, do file and share, full screen, the whole image, like it's covering the whole screen. So that's really nice if you want to make something look the same on a phone and a projector screen. That's how you do it. So if you want the ratio to stay consistent for your images, I'm just going to make one of these arguments 0. So now you see it will change based off of the height, but it won't change based off of the width. So if you go save that and do share, see, it snaps to the height, but it doesn't snap to the width. This is nice for me right now. I might change it later, we'll see. Cool, so that is how you upload an image and you sort of get it configured in an appropriate way. Now let's do uploading the fonts. We'll do font 1, header font name. So font 1 is just header font. I'm gonna save that. And so let's assume you haven't already found your fonts. Let's go to Google Fonts. Google Fonts, browse fonts. Pretty much you can just figure out what font you want here. You can go over here and type something in to see. I'd rather it say this. Change the size, change the language, and figure out, do you want a serif, sans serif, display font handwriting. I really like the interface of this font selection. A lot of other sites are just really convoluted for me, though I'm not like an expert in fonts, by the way. I've already picked my font, and my font is going to be Comic New, and I tried to make the font match the image that I'm copying. So yeah, it was kind of like a rounded font, so this is the one I selected. So when you find your font, which could take a little bit of time, all you have to do is download family here. And you'll just go to that folder and right click it and extract all, and just select the folder that you want to extract to, and that will lead you to something that I already did, which is making this fonts folder. And I made this Comic New folder, and I unzipped to that folder. So I got Comic New bold, bold italic, italic light, you know, the whole family. Yeah, so after you do that, you can then go back to the P5 editor and go to this fonts folder that you created and upload file. Click in, find your folder, and click whichever one you want to use. I can't remember which one I was using. I think it's the light, but yeah, I'll just do the light for right now. It might have been the bold, but you can like upload multiple at one time and change them out. So for the sake of time, let's just do that. Upload file. All of the ones that you think you might want, just select it. I don't want any italic. I want light and bold and regular. Open. And there we go. And then let's go make sure, yep, we got them all here. And so there, you can use a TTF file type, or you could use an OTF file type. Those are going to be the two font file types that we use. So I actually have a second font that I downloaded, and I'm gonna get that one as well. Cool, so that's how you upload them to the folder. Let's get them in the sketch. So here I've got my font 1, my header font. Same thing as the uploading in the image, you just have to use a function, preload, and you say font 1 equal load font, and then the path and the file type. So do those two tick marks, and the folder is called fonts with a capital F front slash. I'm gonna go down here and say, I think I want the regular, so I don't want to retype that. I'm just gonna Control C on a Windows, go back to my sketch, and Control V. Boom. So it should have uploaded with no errors. Great. And now in order to see that, all we have to do is use the text function. And there's a few functions we're going to use with this text. So first, let's just say what we want to say. You can use tick marks or quotations here. let's say header, and eventually I'm going to change this to match with the infographic, but for right now I'll just say header. And then the other two parameters are where it's placed on the canvas. So header and then X and Y location. So much like the image, it's going to draw from the upper left, upper right, which actually is kind of annoying. So what I like to do for both the image and text is I like to center them. So with the text, I use text align with a capital A. That's called camel case. And you do, in all caps, center it on the x-axis and center it on the y-axis. This means that it'll draw from like the middle of the text, not the upper left, which can get confusing. So if you put width divided by 2, height divided by 2, it'll put it in the middle of your canvas. Boom, right there. If you don't have text align, I'll show you what that looks like. It offsets it slightly. So now the middle is like right here instead of the middle of the word. So that's why I like to use text align. So now we're going to use text size. Let's make it bigger. So let's try 32. That seems okay for right now. And then if we want to move it up on the y-axis, we have to decrease it. So I want everything to be scalable. So if I want everything to be scalable, I have to like make it dependent on the height or the width rather than giving it like a hard-coded number. Like 100 would be a hard-coded number, and it'll always be at width divided by 2, 100. So even when we change screens, it'll stay that way. That could be what we want. Like if you always want it to be 100 pixels from the top, maybe you want to hard code it. If you want it to move around on the page, maybe you want to say height times 0.8. I think that's it. No, sorry. 0.2 is towards the top. Yeah. So it really depends on what you're making. For right now, I'm actually going to hard code it and keep it 100 pixels from the top, but it will always be in the center of the page. Cool. So I hope that makes sense. Now let's make our font work. So to do that, we just do text font, and we call our variable font1. Ta-da! Cool. Make it maybe a little bit bigger. What does 55 look like? That seems nice. And then you can change the color by doing, I think it's fill or stroke. Let's try fill to make it white. Yeah. Let's see what stroke does real quick. Okay. So stroke, it looks like text has like a stroke outline. So that's cool. In my case, I really don't want a stroke, so I'm going to do no stroke. It's reading no stroke, and then it's reading stroke. So it's choosing the thing that was called last. So it's choosing to still give it a stroke. So I have to get rid of that in order for it to not have a stroke. Ta-da, it's gone. And for it to be filled white, I'll just go back and put that fill in again. 255, which is white, and boom. So we've got our font and image loaded, some tweaking with placement and color, and that's pretty much all you need to know at the moment. I do want to show you one more thing. Since we are aligning our text to the center, I like to make it a practice to just align my images to the center as well. So like I said, the image is being drawn from the upper left, right? In order to draw from the center, we have to type in image mode with a capital M function in the setup function, not the draw function, the setup function, because I wanted to apply to like the entire sketch. So image mode, and we just have to put in one center for that. Only one. 2 for the text and 1 for an image. So you can see now that it's being drawn from the center, and now we just have to go ahead and move it here. And so much like the text, which is width divided by 2, and I had height divided by 2 to put it in the center, we're just going to change this 0 to width divided by 2 and height divided by 2. Cool. So I'm going to go on to uploading all of the layers, and then I'll add some interaction and animation just to show you like a quick way to sort of attack this project. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it wasn't too long. Let me know if you have any questions. There's like a ton of different ways to do one thing. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to approach this project. One of them is like more design heavy, where like you'll use Illustrator and this is easier and faster. The other way is you could code everything, and maybe that will take you more time, but at the end of the day you would have more control in like all of the elements could be animated and interactive. So as we go through the semester, you'll just pick your favorite mode, and I'll help you along the way, and we'll have fun doing it. So stay tuned for the next video where I finish this up.